Hi, third graders. We're moving on today with our next lesson, and we're going to talk about area. We were introduced to area in our last unit, and we're going to work on it a little bit more today. So on page 112 in your math journal, you're going to find that spot. Now, you don't have tiles like I do. Okay, if we were in the classroom, I'd be able to share some of these with you. So you're just going to have to watch this video and kind of pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, so remember, we learned that area is the amount on the inside, right? So I've got all these tiles, and I'm going to go to number 10 here. And I'm going to put all these tiles together so that they're touching. There's no space in between. Okay, and I want to see how many tiles I can fit on here. And then we're going to write an equation. And if you remember paying attention, some of you are really good at doing this. Area on the inside, because it's a bunch of squares, we have to label it right that way. So we want to make sure that we show that our answer is squared. So if you can remember that from last time, that'll be helpful. So there are all my tiles. Okay, I know the yellow ones kind of blend together, but I think you can see the edges of them pretty well. Remember, it's an array. So I have rows, and then I also have columns. And those columns are the exact same thing as how many is in each row. So let's count these rows. Okay, how many do you count? How many rows do you see? I hope you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, right? You'll see right over here on the left side of that shape, there's a little line, and I want you to put the number 5 right there. We call this a side length, okay? Now, how many is in each of those rows? Each means 1, remember that. If I count, I've got 3 in each row. I also have 3 columns, 1, 2, and 3. So at the very top, you'll notice there's another line. I want you to put the number 3 up there because that's the other side length of my rectangle, of my shape. Okay, I'll make it a little bit darker so you can see it. Now, if you didn't have any tiles, you wouldn't be able to find those numbers, right? Because there are no squares inside like there have been in the past. Because we've learned that multiplication is a shortcut, right, to addition. So we've been counting the squares on the inside, but now we're going to take the squares away and we're going to be given the side lengths because you know to find the area, the amount of squares on the inside, we just multiply those side lengths, right? These are our rows. These are our columns. Okay, write that down. It's the same thing. You've learned that a long time ago. So 5 times 3, 5 groups of 3. I also could do 3 groups of 5. Think about what you know. I'm going to move these tiles out of the way so you can look at the bottom here. Okay. We're going to write down on here what our equation is, right? We're actually going to write it on this side. I have 5 rows, and there's 3 in each row. So I have 5 rows of 3. Remember, that means rows of or groups of. So 5 rows of 3. What does that equal? I hope you said 15, right? 5 times 3 is 15. Now, I could go back, and if I put those tiles back up here, I would have counted, and I would have had 15 altogether. So my area of this shape is 15, remember? But we have to do square, right? And then whatever our label is. These happen to be 1-inch tiles. So we're going to measure and label it in inches. So I have 15 square inches. And I'm just going to use the abbreviation for inches. If you want to write the whole word, you can. You're going to get really good at learning the abbreviations for some of these measurements. So my area is 15 square inches. And I want you to circle this. Area is the amount on the inside, and we measure it in the squares. So you have to have square in your label. If you just put 15 inches, that's not right, because that would be like taking my measuring stick or my ruler. You know what? I've got one right here. 15 inches. Okay, that would be from here all the way to here. That's not right. We're not measuring the length of something, right? We use this to measure how long something is. That's not what I'm doing. I'm measuring the amount on the inside, okay? And you'll need to know this, because as a grown-up and in life, you'll need to find the area of things. Like maybe you need to paint a wall. Maybe you need to put flooring down like carpet, or maybe you need to plant a garden. You need to know what's on the inside, how many square units, whatever we're measuring by. So let's try number 11. Again, you don't have the tiles, but I do. So I'm going to put them inside my shape. And I want you to be thinking, how many rows do I have, and how many columns do I have? What would my side lengths be? What would I put on those two lines right there? Think about that. 1, 2, 3 rows. And there's 3 in each row, right? 3 and 3. So I'm going to come down here and write that equation. 3 rows of 3. What is 3 times 3? 3, 6, 9. I'm getting really good at counting by threes. I can also go back up here and double check by counting the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And remember, it's kind of hard with my book, but they should all be touching. There shouldn't be any spaces in between them. It's kind of hard when they move around. So my area is 9 square inches. Remember, because we are measuring in square inches. If I took my ruler and I measured that, it would be 1 inch in that direction. It would be 1 inch in the other direction. Okay, I have a big yardstick, so it's a little hard to move around. It's not as small as a ruler. Now let's try one more, and then we're going to do some word problems. Look at this. It's like a long, skinny piece. Let's see what we can put in there. A lot of my friends get very confused when they see just a long, skinny piece. Okay? You still have a row, right? A row is still 1 row. So I have 1 as my side length because this is 1 row of tiles. You can see it right there. How many is in that row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my other side length is 6. I have 1 row of 6 tiles. Now move those out of the way so I can write my equation down here. 1 row of 6. Well, I know I just have 6, right? So my area is 6 square inches. You need to have, remember, that square part in the label. If you don't, it means the length, right? Measuring something that's long. Okay, we're not measuring something that's long. We're measuring how many squares are on the inside of this particular shape. Maybe you have a dog pen, right, that looks like that. Maybe you have a garden. Okay? Maybe you're, I don't know, building some kind of an obstacle course. And you need to know, right, what the area is on the inside. So we call those side lengths because now we're going to start to see a shape, but it's not going to have the squares on the inside. So you're going to need to know that you have to multiply your rows and your columns. Another way we can remember area is to write this. It's called a formula, and your parents probably know this. So area equals, and I want you to write this word down. There are these 2 words, length That's how long something is, times the width. That's how wide something is. So length is the long way. Width is how wide. So if you pretend this is a door, right, how long or tall is it? How wide is it? Okay, so area is the length times the width. Area is the rows times the columns. Okay, so pause the video and write that down. We're going to move to page 113 and do a few problems on this page. See if you notice anything. So I'm going to grab my whiteboard so that I can put some tiles over here so that you can see them. So let's look at number 13. Okay, we're going to read this together. It says to draw a rectangle to help solve each problem, and then label your answers with the correct unit. Okay, so the unit is what we're measuring by. We have to look for that label. Remember, if we're doing area, we have to have square, some kind of square units, right? Square something, depending on what we're measuring by. Maybe it's feet, maybe it's miles. Okay, I don't know. We'll have to read the word problems and find out. So we're going to do a few of these together. It says the mattress has a length of 7 feet and a width of 6 feet. What is the area of the mattress? So we're looking for what the area is, right? But I can't label something area, square area. That doesn't make sense. So I have to look back in the problem and think, okay, what are we measuring by? Ooh, I'm measuring by feet. So square feet is going to be our label. So we're going to write that down right now. Okay, this is a case where I said you don't always have the label. They're just telling you that you need to find the area. Because you're a good mathematician, you know that the area, that's not the label that we use. I have to think about how am I measuring. So if I'm going to draw a length of 7, okay, one of my sides is going to be 7. Because it says length, that's the long way, if you remember on the page previous, 112. And then my width is 6. So this is 7. My other line is going to have to be a little bit shorter than that, right? Otherwise, they'd be the same, and that's not right. Okay, you can go ahead and finish your shape, kind of like we're doing a directed drawing. So I have 7 as the length, 6 as the width. It's just like if I had squares inside, I'd have 7 rows, and there would be 6 in each row. So knowing what I know about arrays, my equation is 7 rows of 6. Okay? I don't know my 7s. I'm just learning my 6s. So remember how we did a little bit of strategy work the last time? Okay? If I don't know my 7s, why don't I take a group of 5 times 6? Right? If I take a 7, I can break that down into a 5 plus a 2. Remember doing that? Here's my 5. Now I need to do my 2. So if I solve both of those, then I found the area on the inside, because 5 plus 2 would be the same as 7. So what is 5 times 6? You're getting so good at that. How about 2 times 6? You know your doubles so well. If I add my 1s and add my 10s, I just figured out that 7 groups of 6 is 42. So 7 rows of 6 would also be 42. But remember, we're finding the area, so that's the number of squares on the inside, and the problem told us that we were measuring in feet. So my answer is 42 square feet. Okay? And if you want to know the abbreviation for feet, it's FT period. Okay? Let's try 2 more. Let's look at number 15. We're going to skip 14 We're going to go to number 15. I'll turn on my light here and see if that maybe helps. There was a glare on my board before. There we go. Milo's rug has a length of 5 feet and an area of 40 square feet. All right, if the rug has a length of 5, remember from page 112, we know that length is the long way, and an area of 40 square feet. Well, if I put 40 up here, well, I don't know how to do that, right? Mrs. Linderman hasn't taught me that. I'm not looking for the side length or given the side length. I was given the area on the inside. So I'm trying to find this unknown factor up here. I know the side length is 5. I know the whole thing, the area is 40 on the inside, 40 square feet. So what's my missing side? How do I take 40 and a 5? What do I do to find this unknown? I hope you recognize that this is the total. When I have a total, I should know I have to divide. So I start with my big number. 40 divided by 5, because that's the factor they give me, to find the other side, right? You've learned, and you know this, you can count by 5s up to the total. Okay, you could also share them, right? You could make groups of things and put 40 in 5 different groups, one at a time. That would take a long time. You're getting so good now at your multiples. Count by 5s up to 40. How many times are you going to do that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Oh, I can stop. I have 5. And I have 3 more. That means 8. 8 is my missing side length. But what's my label going to be? Right? Remember, on the inside, it's square feet. But on the outside, there aren't any squares out there. So it's just going to be feet. Okay, you got to really pay attention to those labels. You really have to think about that. The only squared label is on the inside when you're trying to find that big total. Here they already gave us that. We're just trying to find the missing side. Okay, so 40 divided by 5 is 8. They could have given us this one. 40 divided by 8 would be 5, right? Because this is a fact family. Let's try one more. Let's look at the very bottom one, number 18. It says a quilt square has sides that are 7 inches long. What is the area of the quilt square? Well, I know I cannot put area as my label. That's not right. If I'm looking for the area, it has to be in square something, right? So what are we measuring by? Square what? Centimeters, miles, yards. Oh, I hope you noticed that word inches. Remember we learned how to abbreviate that? IN period. So I already know my label. I feel better about that. I have a quilt square that has sides that are 7 inches long. Well, they only gave me one number, but they told me it was a square. And I know that a square, all the sides are the same length. So if one side is 7, that other side length has to be 7 as well, right? And we're trying to find the number of squares on the inside. I know I can multiply 7 times 7. I don't know how to do 7 times 7. I wonder if I could break this apart. I like to go to my 5s and whatever's left over. A 5 and a 2. So I'm going to come over here. 5 times 7 and 2 times 7 give me 7 times 7. So let's find the answers. 5 groups of 7. Count by 5s 7 times. I bet you got 35. Right? If you've got 5 groups of 5, you already know this is always 25. And then I have a couple more. 30, 35. 2 groups of 7. I know my doubles. 14. I add those numbers together. 5 plus 4 more is 1 less than a 10. 3 plus 1 more is a 4. So I have 49 square inches for the area on the inside. Look at that. Here's a factor. Here's a factor. They're the same thing, right? And look at the shape they made. Interesting. This is a square. And my factors are the same. That's pretty cool. Your math work today is going to be practicing finding the area. You're going to have to pay attention to the labels. Okay, make sure you know what you're measuring by, what our unit is. Also, pay attention to things that maybe stretch your thinking. Maybe it's a little bit bigger of a number. How can you break it down into something that you know how to do, right? We've done it right down here at the bottom. We did it at the top in number 13. We broke it apart into something manageable that we know how to do. Good luck. Talk to you tomorrow.